Today it's Tuesday and this week's topic is presenting. So I'll be talking about what presenting is, what it entails, and how to do it safely. So what is presenting? Presenting is basically your entire outwards appearance. It's anything you do or don't do to make it look that way. So I'm quickly going to run through the main types of presenting and then I'll go into detail about each of those. So some main types of presenting are binding, tucking, packing, wearing bras, wearing breast forms, using hormone replacement therapy or hormone blockers, the types of clothes you wear, how you wear them, what your hair is like, makeup. Basically, presenting is completely with how you look on your outside. So binding. There are lots of different ways to bind. You can bind with a binder, you can bind with sports bras, you can bind with tight shirts or camisoles, and you can bind with binders you make yourself. What you definitely don't want to bind with are ace bandages or tape. Neither of those is made to let your body breathe. Ace bandages are made to tighten every time they loosen. So when your body stretches them, when you breathe out, they're going to tighten back up a lot more than they originally were when you breathe in. Using tape to bind does very similar things. The tape you'd have to use to be strong enough to bind with would be duct tape. You'd have to use very, very tight tape in order to bind your breast. This also is not made to let you breathe, so you're not going to be able to. On top of that, the adhesive will probably pull your skin off, or you can have an allergic reaction to it. Using ace bandages or tape to bind can warp your ribs, they can completely break your ribs, can cause fluid to build up in your lungs, can make it hard for you to breathe so you can be coughing, or can make it completely impossible to breathe. All of these things can also happen if you've been wearing your binder too long, which I believe you're not supposed to wear more than 9 to 12 hours, but I'll have an annotation somewhere with the correct amount of hours in case I'm wrong. You want to make sure you're binding with a binder that actually fits you. This means you're going to have to measure yourself. You'll have to measure your rib cage and you'll have to measure your chest where your breasts are. For wearing a sports bra, you want to make sure again that you are wearing something that fits you. You don't want to wear something too small. To make sure you're wearing a correctly fitted sports bra, you're also going to need to make sure you know your correct measurements. This means your band measurement, aka your rib cage measurement, and your cup measurement, aka your mid-chest or breast measurement. Also, never double up when binding. Don't wear more than one sports bra, don't wear more than one binder, don't pair sports bras or binders together, only wear one binding article. Because again, you can have all the same consequences as before when you double up for binding. So some other general tips for binding are when you're taking off your binder or you've just taken your binder off, make sure to make a few good hard coughs to get any fluid that's built up in your lungs out. Also, if you don't need to be wearing your binder, take it off. Take it off as soon as you can. The safest way to bind is to bind as little as possible. With whatever type of binder you choose to use, make sure that it fits you. Make sure that it's safe. Read reviews, correctly measure yourself. So tucking. Basically what tucking is giving the appearance of a flatter genital area. You definitely do not want to use tape to tuck. Basically, you're putting it on a very gentle, delicate area, even if you're not putting it directly on your skin. But when you are putting it on your skin, you're obviously putting yourself at risk for tearing that skin off and in such a very delicate area. And again, you can also have an allergic reaction to any type of tape or adhesive. And you don't even need to use it. What you're going to want to have is a pair of underwear or two that are pretty restrictive, kind of binding, but also with some give so you can keep everything in place. So packing. There are lots of different types of packing, and the basic ones are soft packers and STPs. So soft packer is something that it's soft, it's squishy, kind of flimsy, and that's just something you put in your underwear or in your pants to give the appearance of a bulge. So the next type of packer is an STP, which stands for stand to pee. This is a device that basically lets you pee standing up in a nice neat stream. These range greatly, as some resemble penises, while others are basically just plastic tubes. You can also turn some soft packers into an STP very easily. And of course, you can make packers yourself. You can basically roll up socks and use these to pack. You can also fill up condoms with gel and pack with those inside your underwear. So for breast forms, there are a few different types of breast forms and a few different ways of making cleavage or making more cleavage. So there's one type, which is called cleavage creators. Basically what they are is something that either sticks on you or it does have a back, and you're basically pulling the sides into each other and kind of strapping them together so that you're pulling all your breast tissue, all your skin, your pec muscles up and towards each other to create cleavage or more cleavage. Again, with anything that's going around your rib cage, anything you're tightening, you want to make sure it's not too tight. You can have the same ill consequences as you can with binding when you're using something tight around your rib cage. So breast forms themselves go in or behind the bra. Some have adhesive and some don't. Those with adhesive can be layered on top of each other. So if you wear bras, they probably don't actually fit you. And I'll have links down below on how to correctly fit yourself. And this is very important because not only is most of the population wearing incorrectly fitted bras, but doing so can make your breast tissue migrate, which is basically what we think of as back fat, and is kind of pushing all the breast tissue around up here near your armpits, over here on your sides, and in your back. And that's not very healthy. You should have all your breast tissue where your breasts are. It shouldn't be migrated. Also, your band size may be too tight. This can cause indents, which I know can really hurt. It can cause kind of like chafing. It can be really restrictive on your ribs, which I know can make it really hard to breathe, can make you cough a lot, and just be overall very uncomfortable, and it's just not safe. So makeup, whether you wear it or don't, that also has to do with how you present. Some people wear makeup specifically to make themselves look more traditionally feminine, traditionally masculine, or traditionally androgynous. So first off, I know that there are products made to cover stubble, even a lot of stubble, and that's great, especially if you want it covered every single day and you don't want to have to freshly shave every day, because I know that can be very irritating and very harmful to your skin. So for covering a 5 o'clock shadow and light stubble in general, since that's a pretty blue-purple area, you want to look on the color wheel and basically use the exact opposite, which happens to be orange. So you want to use an orange base. You can use lipstick, which should be matte, but that can kind of slip and slide on your face, so I would suggest kind of an orange concealer, an orange primer, just whatever kind of orange base you can get, even a matte eyeshadow. Then you would put a heavy foundation and concealer over that, and then you would set that with probably a foundation powder or any type of powder. And then to basically counter that very powdery appearance, you would use a setting spray to kind of make it a little dewy, a little moist, and that will also hold it on longer. Also, for makeup, you can contour in the middle of your upper chest and maybe a little bit in kind of a curved place up here, and that will help with the appearance of cleavage or make your cleavage look more pronounced. You may want to use something lighter on your breasts or just your upper chest right here, and that will give the appearance of them coming out more, standing out, and then you would blend that all together, and this can be very, very realistic looking. So for making yourself look more traditionally feminine, you might want to contour the sides of your nose and highlight the bridge of your nose, because this will make it look slimmer, maybe longer depending on how you do it. You might want to contour the hollows of your cheeks, maybe right around your temples, and I would highlight basically everywhere that stands out. Your cheekbones, as I said, the bridge of your nose, your philtrum, your chin, either your forehead or your eyebrows. You really don't want to do both though, because that's kind of a whole lot of highlight right there. And for making yourself look more traditionally masculine, you might also still want to contour kind of the hollows of your cheeks. You may want to lightly contour the sides of your nose a little bit farther apart, maybe put some highlight right near the sides. That way it makes it look a little wider. Also, you might want to fill in your eyebrows or make them look a little bit thicker. You can also use makeup for facial hair. So you can use actual hair to give yourself facial hair, which is basically using spirit gum and chunks of hair that you kind of stick on there, and that gives you kind of like a beard type thing. You can use that on your eyebrows, wherever. So something else you can do is basically use mascara to gently coat the peach fuzz on your face, or just to make little dots like stubble, and that can give a good effect. And don't listen to what anybody else says about trying to make yourself look more masculine by using makeup, because that's perfectly fine. Anyone can wear makeup. So lastly, I'm going to talk about clothing. If you're trying to have a flatter chest or kind of hide your breasts, something that does help a lot is to wear something with kind of a busy graphic. Like this is pretty busy and nothing is centered right around my breasts. That way no attention is drawn to them. So this is the end of the video. I don't know how to end it, but this is the end.